Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. I'm not doing an official gaming video this time. I'll do one eventually. But like I said, I wanted to start doing new stuff. This is kind of gaming related, but it's pickups mostly, but some of the stuff isn't gaming related, so that may or may not be exciting to you. I don't know. This is my channel, I kind of do what I want, but I don't know why. I felt obligated to show my face during this first part because I figured somebody would be like, why don't you show your face? And you know, I'm aiming to please, yet I'm being stubborn about my own channel. So without further ado, I'm going to share some of my pickups. These are pickups that I've acquired over the last couple of months. So don't think that I just went to the store and went on this huge shopping spree or whatever. It's just stuff I acquired. I don't ever do pickup videos, so I thought it'd be interesting. Do a whole bunch of stuff at once. Maybe I'll get more detailed with some of the stuff in the future, but I'll quickly go through some of this stuff. Hopefully you'll find it interesting, as I obviously did because I purchased it. But yeah. So we're doing a pickups video, which everybody does. It's not an unboxing, so yeah, I got the market on that. Non-unboxing pickups video. Wait a minute, people do those too. That wasn't even a joke, that was me actually thinking out loud. But anyway, without further ado, let's get this thing started so you can eat dinner or do whatever that's more important than this. Alright, jump cut. So we'll cover games first. So without further ado, stop talking about I guess. Stardew Valley for the PlayStation 4. This was a downloadable game. I waited because I wanted a box. And like I said in the past, these cheaper games, which I think this was only $22, I believe. It comes with a soundtrack, a map, and an actual manual. It just blows my mind that these cheaper games have more stuff than the regular games. This game's like Earthbound. You're in a small town, you're starting a farm, and various things pursue. This was a PC game for a long time. Finally came out on console. I haven't had a lot, I've had a lot of time. I've been dealing with shit, and I procrastinate when I deal with shit, especially when it comes to gaming. So, I've briefly played some of these games, and I get to share it with you. I'm sharing it with you instead of playing them, so, yeah. So, on to the next one. We have the Wipeout Omega collection, which is fantastic. If you have a PlayStation 4 Pro, it actually plays in native 4K. It's awesome. It's like a futuristic racing game if you're not familiar with it. It's like a roller coaster. It's based on the two HD games on PlayStation 3 and then the PlayStation Vita game, which I'm trying to see what that was called because I never owned the Vita game. It's called Wipeout 2048. That one looks really nice. I feel like it's more difficult than the other ones, but you know, I haven't played Wipeout really since there's a PSP Wipeout when it first came out, and I got it because there was like a workaround where you had an internet browser that you could use on it, which was new at the time. Like smartphones weren't prevalent, so to have a portable internet device was really cool. But yeah, great collection, beautiful in native 4K, and if you have HDR, it looks even better. It's only $40 too for AAA. I would consider AAA because it's a first party game on the PlayStation 4. You can't beat it. Then we have the Outlast Trinity. I actually have only played the demo of Outlast 2, but this is the only physical copy of the Outlast games you can get. So it has Outlast the Whistleblower, which was DLC for the first Outlast, and Outlast 2. I actually beat the first Outlast. I have not played at all Outlast the Whistleblower, and I played the demo of Outlast 2. It's like a survival game, kind of like Alien Isolation. are I think I forgot what the game is called. There's another game that I played that's like I keep on wanting to say Dying Light, but I know that's not what it's called. But anyway, you have a camcorder with a battery, and it's more about survival. It's not everybody's thing. Some people might not like it because it's high stress, but I like these kind of games. So, yeah, on to the next thing. Dragon Quest Builders. I've not played this game, but I hear it's Minecraft with Dragon Quest in it. Dragon Quest was like the precursor to Final Fantasy. It's like an RPG series. But this is like Minecraft, so it's like an action RPG with building elements, and I love the Dragon Quest universe and the music and everything else in that universe. Excuse me. I just ate and decided to do a video. So I'm trying not to have the hiccups while I'm talking, but when I do these videos, I get anxious and sometimes I forget to breathe, which naturally you want to start a YouTube channel when you have these issues, but I keep on going. Anyway, I love the Dragon Quest games, and I picked this up. I haven't played it yet, but I'm sure I'll love it. Dragon Quest Heroes 2. I actually do like this game. I played it. I really like Dragon Quest Heroes 1, which I also own. It's like Dynasty Warriors in the Dragon Quest universe. Most of the newer Dragon Quest games, besides Dragon Quest X that never came out locally, come out on the Nintendo 3DS. So the new one that's coming out is coming out on the Switch, which I imagine will be a GIMP version because it's running on Unreal Engine 4. And PlayStation 4 in Japan, they're actually having a PlayStation 4, and it's also coming on 3DS, which is like it's weird. It's like a 2D version of the 3D game, which is a unique concept. So it's coming on 3 platforms, but there's one collector's edition in Japan. I don't know if it's coming out here. That comes out with a Sony Dragon's Quest and a Nintendo 3DS version of the Dragon Quest. So a Sony and Nintendo product in the same box. It's crazy. I really like this game. It has light RPG elements in it, but it's like a straight up action game. The character models are beautiful. They really look like the way the artist draws them. I don't know his name offhand. It's the same artist that does the artwork for Dragon Ball Z, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana. I'm sure most of you that are familiar with Dragon Ball Z will know who the person is. Even if I knew his name, I would probably say it wrong. But I actually really like the Dragon Quest Heroes games. And if you like action games and don't mind the fantasy universe, I would highly recommend it. Tekken 7 is a great fighting game. I love the Tekken games. This one is as fun as I remember Tekken 3 being, so it's pretty great. I actually like Tekken 6 a lot too, and Tekken Tag Tournament too. I wasn't too crazy about Tekken 4. Tekken 5 was pretty cool. I didn't really like Tekken 1 and Tekken 2. I didn't really like Tekken until Tekken 3. I actually have a Tekken 3 video planned soon. I gotta do the commentary for it. As far as single player goes, it does have a campaign and arcade mode, but disappointingly, it doesn't have as much stuff for as far as extras go as the other Tekken games have. Usually Tekken games have a bunch of stuff on single player, like when they come out on consoles, like for instance Tekken 5. Tekken 5 for the PlayStation 2 had Tekken 5 like some action mode, like it was like a third person game, and it had Tekken 1, 2, and 3 arcade games in it. Plus, it had like this Namco space shooting game. I can't remember. It's like in 3D. Maybe you know what it is. But that was all on like one disc, and each one had like its own mode. It started with Tekken 3. Every time you beat Tekken 3, you like unlock another character, and there was like this side-scrolling fighting mode. But this doesn't have any of this. This obviously caters more to people online, but luckily they didn't pull a Street Fighter 5, and it has solid single-player content. Although I would say that the arcade mode is kind of short, but I'm glad it's there. It also has a versus mode where you can pick your opponent, but it has a fairly long story mode in it. So if you don't plan on playing it online and like Tekken, I would definitely recommend it. And it looks really good on PlayStation 4 Pro. I haven't played it on the base PlayStation in the bedroom, and that's what I use to record it for. So maybe if I do a video, since I got to record it in 1080p, I'll record it off of that because I'm curious what that base version looks like. But the PlayStation 4 Pro version looks really nice. I had the original Dying Light, but I wanted to get a physical copy with the DLC on it. So the following, it was on sale. Yay. They had a sale, buy two get one free. I haven't taken the time to take the sticker off, so if that bothers you, too bad. This game is actually free. It wasn't $17. Deadpool the game. It's a really fun game, although it's kind of fucked up. Activision never patched it or tested it, because when you play this game, if you don't turn off your online connection, your game frame rate will like pause like every few seconds, which could be every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds, every 20 seconds, but it's annoying, it's noticeable. But if you just go to the options, and even though it's annoying and you shouldn't have to do this, if you go to the options and turn off your internet, it works fine. It's great. It's a very stereotypical action hack and slash game with third person shooting elements in it. What makes this game really great is Nolan North, who actually voices Nathan Drake in the Uncharted games, which you'd probably be more familiar with than the actual actor's name. He does the voice of Deadpool, and it's pretty freaking funny and juvenile, and I would definitely recommend this game just because everything it does, like action and shooting, is good, but what makes this game great is its sense of humor. So I definitely recommend that. But the humor is somewhat immature. This is also another game I got with a deal. I kind of like the Lego games depending on the universe, and I wouldn't have gotten this unless it was a deal because I'm kind of indifferent about the Lego movie. Again, too lazy. I wasn't lazy to take the sticker off. I just didn't want to deal with it because it's like a whole process, and just haven't had time with work and stuff. I probably had time, but I didn't want to take the time. I will eventually, though. Don't judge me. But I got this for a weird reason. I really like the way that the game tries to emulate the stop motion animated look of the movies, and that's really the only reason why I got it. Sometimes I buy games just because I think that they're visually nice looking, and it's a straightforward Lego game. My favorite Lego game of all time will still be Lego Marvel. They just announced Lego Marvel 2, and I'll probably pick it up. But like some games I won't pick up. I wasn't into like Lego Harry Potter and Lego The Hobbit and Lego Lord of the Rings. I haven't even seen the Hobbit movies. I'm kind of nervous about those because the first Hobbit book it's thinner than the first Lord of the Rings book, and they somehow stretched that into 3 films, and I'm like, these movies are going to drag. But I like the Lord of the Rings films, but I don't know, like, for some reason I'm anti-Lego Lord of the Rings games. I don't know why, they just don't interest me. Rhyme. I actually don't know much about this game except that I don't know. I've heard people say great things about it. Ironically, it's gotten mixed reviews, if you can imagine that. I haven't really read the reviews, which is why I can't tell you much about the game aside what the back of the box says, but it seems like a puzzle game. It's really nice looking, and my friend Dean, Vinny Corleone 62, he said he got it. He was pretty excited about it, and we tend to like a lot of the same things within the genres that we like. This tends to be a genre that we like. I mean, he likes different genres that maybe I'm not necessarily into. I know he doesn't like all the Japanese RPGs I play, but the genres we do like, we tend to agree on for the most part of what games we like, and I kept that in mind, and it just looked like a cool game on the back of the box or whatever. But I remember him talking about it, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot because it looks cool or whatever. I got the physical version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. Originally, I think they weren't going to come out with this, but I guess it made a shit ton of money and it's Activision, and they released Deadpool Broken, so why wouldn't they release this? I originally got the digital version with Infinite Warfare, but I wanted the physical version because it's weird. Like, you have to download the game, but you got to use the Infinite Warfare disc, and I was like, that's dumb. And ironically, I really like Infinite Warfare. It was like another futuristic Call of Duty game. They're going back to World War II, which I'm really excited about. But I really did like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, to be honest with you. It reminded me of Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter, where you could get in out of your spaceship and go on these bases and get back in your spaceship. And it was like a spaceship flight shooter or whatever. And I thought Call of Duty would be on rails or whatever, but it's free roaming, and it's actually, in my opinion, awesome and really enjoyable, and took me by surprise. And the 80s themed zombie mode is really quirky and cool. If you're scared of trying the more futuristic Call of Duty games, I would definitely recommend Call of Duty Infinite Warfare because it took me by surprise. Prey, I haven't played much of it, but from what I played, I really liked, and they patched it not long ago to function on the PlayStation 4 Pro, even though on the back of the box it says PlayStation 4 Pro Enhanced, but we had to wait a few weeks before it got patched, and I think it got even more patches since then. This is Ukulele, which is like a, I don't know, it's like the spiritual successor of Banjo and Kazooie. I hope I'm saying that right, for Nintendo 64. It's like a collectathon. From what I played, it feels really nostalgic. In my opinion, I think it's a beautiful game based on the artwork. It's not realistic, but the way that it's animated, it looks like a Pixar or a CGI animated ship movie or show, and I think it looks really good, and it was really fun from what I played of it. Some people are going to hate these type of games where you just collect stuff, or think it's too kiddie and they'll be embarrassed to play it, but I personally think it's fun, and it's my money, and if it seems fun to me and I have the money, I'm going to get it. I don't care what other people think because they're not chilling with me playing the same games I am. They're playing their own games that they like. Amazing Spider-Man 2. This game got terrible reviews. Ironically, I liked it. It's a lot like Spider-Man 2. Pretty much most of the PlayStation 2 Spider-Man games. You wouldn't believe how many messages. I think that might be my most popular video of Ultimate Spider-Man on the PlayStation 2. And I played it on the PlayStation 3. And for some reason, a lot of people aren't aware that the PlayStation 3, the launch PlayStation 3 actually could play PlayStation 2 games, and people were like, how are you playing that on the PlayStation 3? It's impossible, it's not in the PlayStation Store. It's like, well, it natively plays it, and I have to answer the same questions over and over again. I think Insomniac Spider-Man is going to knock all the Spider-Man games out of the park. But this is the closest contemporary Spider-Man game you can get to Ultimate Spider-Man. If any of you who constantly ask me about that game, even though it got bad reviews, I think it's a fun little game that you can web sling around New York. You can get it super cheap. I think it's a fun game, you know. I rented it and kept it for a couple of days. It took a long time for it to go down in price. Like, I didn't feel like it had the fun factor of a $60 game because I felt like I've been there and done that. It was very similar to other Spider-Man games, but if this game came out $40 or whatever back in the day, I would have picked it up if I had the money. But yeah, brand new. Most places will have this for $20 or less. It's probably even cheaper used. But I definitely kind of recommend this if you want a good Spider-Man game to hold you over until Insomniac Spider-Man comes out. I think it's fun. The Peter Parker model doesn't look anything like Andrew Garfield from the film this is based on, but if you want a web sling around an open world city, New York, I definitely recommend this. Also, the first Amazing Spider, my voice cracked. The first Amazing Spider-Man is pretty good. This is another Spider-Man game that got terrible reviews. This one isn't an open world web slinging game. Just like, by the way, since it has a sticker on it, it's called Spider-Man: The Edge of Time. Basically, in this game, Peter Parker in the past gets killed, and Spider-Man of the future, which is Spider-Man 2099, which was this offshoot comic book series. And when Spider-Man Shattered Universe came out, where you played as Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Spider-Man Noir, where you played like alternate universe Spider-Man. It put Spider-Man 2099 back into popularity. That game was really cool because it was voiced by like, each Spider-Man was voiced by somebody who voiced a Spider-Man in like an old TV show, which was really cool. But this one kind of has like a cool premise where you have to go back and forth from past and present in each Spider-Man to try to prevent the Spider-Mans of the past's death. And every time Spider-Man in the past does something, it affects the level of Spider-Man in the future. And for whatever reason, this game got terrible reviews, but I think it's a fun little action game, but it's not free roaming. It's very linear, but I still think it's cool, and I also think it's nice looking. That's what Spider-Man 2099 looks like. I had one of the comic books. There was Hulk 2099, but that one was pretty terrible. The comic book, they never made a game based on them. The Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, if you like the original Crash games, $40, and it looks beautiful. It looks like probably how you remember playing it, because some, especially 3D games, I don't think they age all that well. You can't beat it. 3 games. They're hard as hell. Like they don't hold your hand or whatever. I heard that these games might actually be slightly harder than the originals. I'm playing the first game, which I wasn't a big fan of, and I think it was because it was somewhat difficult, but this game has all 3 games, and I really like the second and third game a whole lot, and I'm learning to love the first game, but I think they were trying to figure out what to do in the first game, so yeah. I definitely would recommend this if you're a fan of Crash Bandicoot. I don't think I've ever played... I might have played the first one that came out that wasn't made by Naughty Dog. Curious if that's going to ever come out on Xbox 360, since there's nowhere on the box it says like only on PlayStation, and Activision basically owns all the rights to Crash Bandicoot. So it's going to be weird if it happens, but I would not be surprised if it came out on the Xbox One. Assassin's Creed The Americas Collection. I actually sold my copy of Assassin's Creed 3 a long time. I have Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag on the PlayStation 3 and 4. I did that deal when I first got my PlayStation 4 where you spend the $10 and you can use your PlayStation 3 disc to play the PlayStation 4 version, but I wanted a physical copy of Assassin's Creed Liberation and Assassin's Creed 3. I would definitely recommend getting this game on the PlayStation 3, although it's available on the Xbox 360 for the simple fact that for Assassin's Creed Liberation on the Xbox 360, you actually have to use a code. So if you get this game used, 9 times out of 10 the code's going to be used and you won't be able to play it. And it's nice to have everything on one disc, and that's why I got this. The games hold up surprisingly well, even on PlayStation 3. They looked really, really good. We have Sonic, and it's basically like a push-the-buttons music game. I have no idea who the girl on the front is because you mostly just see icons or whatever. And the music's actually pretty catchy. I just wanted a game that you just sit down like after a hard day that requires like no thinking whatsoever, and you just kind of chill and zone out to music. And so far, it's lived up to that. This game also came with a CD. There's a receipt in there because I keep my receipts. I actually remember I put my soundtrack in my CD rack, on my CD rack. We have Neo, which I don't like the Dark Souls games all that much. I have Dark Souls 3. I never even played it. But this game, it takes place during the time of like the samurais and stuff like that, and it has monsters in it. I don't know. I kind of like this game a lot, even though I die a lot on it. There's just something about this one. Maybe I'll tire of it once I die more, but so far I like it more than the Dark Souls and Bloodborne games, if you can imagine that, even though it's hard and I can barely get anywhere. I'm really having a good time with this. So yeah, if you come across Neo and you're curious about it, it's probably going to kick your ass, but I think it's a good time. And if you're into like the samurai setting or whatever, I think it'd be cool. I also like the fact that you can choose resolution and frame rate. I believe the base PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro both support that. It's just the base PlayStation 4, I think, instead of 1080p, which is their higher resolution, you can switch the 720, where the PlayStation 4 Pro runs at 1080p, and then you can switch it to whatever the upscale resolution of 4K is, the checkerboard rendering or whatever. Valkyria Revolution. I just started playing this today, actually. As you can tell, I have a lot of games I play every once in a while. I haven't finished a game in quite some time. I'm trying to think of the last game I finished. It might have been something last year or whatever. Can't really remember. I feel like I finished the game recently, but I think it was like an older game. But anyway, Valkyria Revolution, which is a spin-off. This is also available on PlayStation 3. This is the remastered version. Comes in a nice tin case. I would highly recommend trying this game out if you're into strategy RPGs, because this is a 3D strategy RPG, and it looks gorgeous. It has like these watercolor visuals, and it has like this canvas like texture on it. And if you can find it, I would definitely try to find the one with the tin case, because now they're releasing it in plastic cases. So they remastered this to try to get more interest in the series. And I think that we might be getting Valkyria Chronicles 3. You might be wondering what happened to Valkyria Chronicles 2. That came out for the PSP, which was considered a failure here, so unless they come out with like some remastered version or whatever, I doubt we'll ever see it. I don't know why they went from PlayStation 3 to PSP. It doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of controls, but it's interesting. It's like an alternate World War One, like World War II steampunk setting or whatever, and it's like a 3D strategy game. So you're able to run a certain distance. You actually aim your gun like a shooting game and then shoot it. So it's very different than, say, Final Fantasy Tactics, like strategy game, or Disgaea, however you say it. So it's hard, but I definitely give it a shot. This is the spin-off. This is the actual pickup. This was a cheaper game. I think it was $40. It came with a pin, soundtrack. See, these cheaper games always seem to come with more stuff. It's like they put more effort into it. I think this is trying to get more interest in the series as well. This is more of a hybrid of an action game. There's some strategy elements to it, but it's definitely it feels like the Tales of series, if you ever played any of those games. But Yeah, you run in 3D space. You can aim your gun and shoot it. You have limited resources. There's RPG elements, but definitely feels more like an action game, where Valkyria Chronicles feels more like a strategy game with action elements. This is more like a action game with RPG elements, if that makes sense. I would I like this so far. I would definitely check out both games. I think Valkyria Chronicles will probably be the favorite, but who knows? I haven't played a lot of Valkyria Revolution, but I really like what I played so far. I just don't want to speak too soon. Killing Floor, not gonna blow your mind. Just shoot 'em up. Um, Probably meant to be played on multiplayer. I think it's a lot like Left 4 Dead, where they have multiplayer in mind, but you can play it single player. It's fun, but it's not going to be on any of my top 10 lists or whatever, but it's fun, and you just grind, you unlock more weapons. It's like Left 4 Dead or Zombie Mode. It was super cheap. It perked my interest. I gave it a try. I like it. It's just not my go-to shallow action game for right now. I have this on PlayStation 3, but I was curious what the Xbox 360 version was. This looks a little bit sharper on the Xbox 360, and I like the way first-person shooters control. It's $5. I figured I'd give it a try. Another game I need to take the sticker off of. But the only downside, I took all the discs out. It has a manual, that's nice. Relic from back in the day. It's 3 discs. I had this on PlayStation 3, which was 1 Blu-ray disc. I haven't looked much into Rage on the Xbox 360. I probably should show it while I'm talking about it. But I really like playing on the Xbox 360 so far. It definitely, the visual fidelity, even though it's subtle, I appreciate it, and I really like playing with the Xbox 360 controller. I'm curious because I never looked into it, and the PlayStation 3 version's great too. This also seems to stream a little bit better. I've heard some people say that if you install this on your game, it fucks up the streaming. I don't know if that's true or not, so I haven't installed it. But it's 3 discs. I'm wondering like how the game splits up. Like at what point do you switch discs? So I'm curious how that's gonna work. But this game definitely needs more love. It should have definitely got a sequel. This, to be honest with you, with the ID Tech 5, I think it is, engine. Is this ID Tech 5 or ID Tech 6? Yeah, ID Tech 5. ID Tech 6 is Doom. But yeah, this game actually holds up. It almost looks as good as a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One game, in my opinion. And it looks really good and runs buttery smooth. I can't say enough good things about this. If you haven't played Rage and you like first-person shooters or like post-apocalyptic worlds, I would definitely check this out. It's a shame it didn't get the love it deserves, in my opinion. But hopefully one day they'll go back to these series because I'm curious where it would go, and I think that it's a great premise and just so much attention and detail to the animations and everything. It's mind-blowing that it runs as well as it does, and with all the streaming and the reason why it's on 3 discs, there's so much variety in the textures and stuff like that, because they basically have this streaming thing, so they don't have to load all the textures all at once. So you get so much more variety and textures and detail than you would in any other 7th gen game that you would play, or at least that I've played. I've played quite a few, as you can tell by this big stack of games of mostly 8th gen, but if you only can imagine the 7th gen I've acquired over time. These are kind of boring to look at. I'm not mint condition collector. I don't care if it's not in the original case as long as the disc works. X-Men Destiny. I liked X-Men growing up. As a kid, movies are alright depending on which one. I kind of like the ones that take place in the past. I don't really like the first 3 X-Men movies that came out all that much. The first Wolverine movie, I don't even think I bothered to watch, but I really liked Logan and The Wolverine, which was the second X-Men movie. So X-Men Destiny, this is what put Silicon Knights out of business, I believe. This is the last game they worked on. So it's basically like a beat 'em up, but it's kind of a cool premise where you get to pick, I think, 1 out of 3 characters, and you basically, it has some RPG elements where you basically pick, like, whether you want to be the good guys or the bad guys. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool that you don't create your own character, but you develop your own character in the X-Men universe, and I think it's cool. It's going to be very repetitive because it is repetitive. I find it personally fun, but some people might be turned off from that. But I feel like if you're into X-Men, like, you're probably going to be more forgiving with it, like I am, because I like the universe and just being able to explore and interact into the universe. No matter whether you're doing the same things over again, like fighting hordes and hordes of enemies most of the time, it's still kind of cool to feel like you're a new character in this universe and you're establishing, like, yourself in this world. And I'm repeating myself over again, but yeah, I picked it up. I liked it. I think if you're an X-Men fan, you'll appreciate it. Also, the Wolverine, was it the Wolverine? No, X-Men Wolverine Origins for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It's super violent, super awesome. I definitely recommend that if you like X-Men as well. And then finally, as far as the video games go, Dead or Alive 4, nothing special. I definitely would get Dead or Alive 5 Final Bout if you had to pick one, because don't get all that online shit or whatever. There's like some free-to-play version where you get like a couple of characters. There's like a physical version on I think 7th and 5th gen, and it's called like Final Bout or Final Round or something like that. But it has like all the characters and everything. It doesn't have all the outfits or whatever, but seriously, you're playing a fighting game, not dress up. I know some people are into that, but me personally, I'm more into the gameplay. But I wanted Dead or Alive 4 just because I remember having it and enjoying it when I first got my first Xbox 360, the one that I got the red light of death on. That was one of the first games that I bought, and I really enjoyed it. It was the best looking fighting game at the time, and it still doesn't look as good, definitely as good as Dead or Alive 5, especially on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but it's the gameplay holds up well. Don't go into this game for story, but it has a solid arcade mode, and the story mode's kind of fun, but definitely cheesy, like a bad anime. But you know, some people play this game just to watch the boobs jiggle. That's why they have that volleyball game, I guess. Okay, so non-video game related stuff. So we have this book. I can't see it. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. But this is the artist from that worked on Persona games, Catherine, and apparently some other stuff based on this book. I have most of the Persona art books. I have Persona 5, the American version, pre-ordered, but these Japanese art books, even though I can't read them, they're so much nicer than the localized ones, even though they mostly have the same artwork in them. They just have such a unique cover to them, and I'll probably do a separate video on art books because I want to cover it. But I just wanted to share this, just part of the pickups. But it's just kind of cool how they do their covers and stuff like that. there's just more love into the packaging in this. And this book is used. That's another thing I have to say. When you get a book, based on my experiences on the import books that I've bought, these people really take care of their stuff that have sent me these used books, because every book I got, it looks like it was never read before. It looks like it was at the bookstore. So this is actually a used book, even though it looks brand new. So everything I've imported from Japan has come in mint condition, and it has this lovely packaging. Let me real quick show you the difference. So this is the American Persona 4 Arena book. It's a nice book. I like it a lot. But that's the cover. And then you saw this 3-layer cover here. So yeah, so I'm debating for Persona 5 whether to bite the bullet and not be able to read it and get the higher production values of the American release. And plus, I think the Japanese version has more pages in it, so that's something too. It's a little bit pricey, but you know, I think it costs $10 more than the American book, but if it's more pages, I mean, you're paying for more. So I want the best version of the art book I can get. And if I can't read, I mean, it's an art book, you want it for the art. So this is just a nice book. I'm trying to show you this behind a camera, and I don't know what you call it, the little rod that you aim it with on the tripod is about to stab me in the neck. The artwork in this book's phenomenal, and even though I own books based on the artwork for most of these games, a lot of this artwork isn't in those books, so don't think you're like buying the same thing over again if you own the Persona 3 and 4 art books, because you're still getting stuff that wasn't released in those books. And I think the publisher knew that. They didn't want, I mean, every once in a while you'll see something that was another book, but there's some new stuff in there for every game. I think the publishers were aware that you were you'd be skeptical about buying the same thing twice. So I just love the shading and the vibrant colors of this artist's work. And the same artist worked on the other book I showed you. Okay, so lately I've been into listening to records. So I've been rebuying some of my CDs and getting record versions. So we have Regina Spektor, Soviet Kish. I'm probably saying that wrong. But yeah, I really love Regina Spektor. Kind of crush on her a little bit, but she's gotten more popular as time goes on. When she came out with this album, she wasn't really popular. That's when I like kind of discovered her. But now I say I like her, and everybody's like, "Oh, she's popular now." Oh, I heard her on the grocery store music, but I'm glad I got this on record. I think CDs and records sound great for their own reasons. I like the organic sound of a record. I also like the big artwork. I mean, I like the records that they have like a larger artwork than like a little condensed CD. So I own the CD, now I own the record, and this is like my second favorite record. I know this is like fans of Regina Spektor this tends to be their favorite record. Her music's really unconventional, but in this particular record, as she's gotten more popular, she's become, I guess, more conventional. That starts to sound more like pop music, although her last album kind of went to some of the sounds of this album, but I really like it. So obviously I liked it. I bought it twice. But I'm glad to have the record version to get that organic sound. And then I bought this one, which is the album that came out after. This is my personal favorite. This album's more poppy. The songs are catchier, but the lyrics are still really deep. The album that comes out after this, I don't actually own. I need to get, but I don't like that album as much, but I still want to get it to complete my collection. But this one has probably the songs that most people are familiar with. They might be familiar with Us on the album before, which has been on several things, but most of her popular songs are on this one, but I still like them. They're really catchy. And I like her other albums too. I think Far, the one that comes after this, is the weakest album that she's come out with, but I really like the way that she writes things, and she's very poetic, and I'm just really huge on lyrics. She's an artist. I was gonna say she's one of my favorite bands, but that's whenever she comes out with the album, that's one of the albums like I will go to the store to like the first day it comes out and try to get it. When I was finally starting to drive and getting my own I got my own car and I installed a CD player in it, and this is one of the first CDs I ever played, and man, I was feeling like, I know a lot of people don't like Green Day anymore, and that's fine, or they feel like they sold out. I just think they got burned out for a while, and then I think people gave up on them, and then when this came out, they played some of the catchier songs, but this is an album that needs to be listened in order, and it's about growing up in suburbia in your late teens and kind of having an identity crisis. Obviously it's exaggerated, but this is a rock opera and it's meant to be listened to in order, and it's one of my, if not one, I don't know, that's right up there with a few Mountain Goat records and Regina Spektor and the Yes. I have too many favorites, but this is probably my first favorite album because this is when I was starting to get into music, and I got the record, and it's fantastic. It's 2 records, so the quality of the music is decent, because sometimes when they compress a record and try to put all the songs on one thing, it doesn't sound as good on one record. And I like how this is in the CD version too. The CD version's like a book, but I love how like everything's looks like it's all like handwritten and scribbled down and everything like that. I just have so many memories with this, and I was feeling a lot of the shit that's expressed in this album, and a lot of people didn't give. I mean, it's super popular, but I know a lot of people that used to like Green Day just wanted those shallow three chord guitars, and this is probably the deepest thing that's ever come out of Green Day, but I guess maybe it came out a little too late to win back some of the Green Day purists. So last but not least, we have Mountain Goat's Goss. This is a fairly new record. Actually first got the CD and I was like, man, I kind of want to hear what the record sounds like. This is the first Mountain Goat, how should I word this? The last couple of Mountain Goats records were good, but they didn't blow my mind like some of the older ones. And this is one of the Mountain Goats records in a long time. This is one of my favorite Mountain Goats records in a long time. Maybe I'll change my mind later. That I really love. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. It's called Goths. It's not goth music, but it's songs about the goth scene. And some of the songs are like in the vein of like a blues song. Some of them are like a pop song. It's a song about identity crisis. There's songs about getting older and feeling washed up and trying to Find Your Way still. It's about the goth scene, but it just covers so much more. And John Darnielle, excuse me, who is the main singer and writer. I think he wrote every single song on this album except one. He knows so much about this scene because I guess he was part of it. So there's a lot of references to like all these old goth things in the past. Things. I wasn't really around during when the goth scene was prevalent, so I can only tell you but so much about it. But it's an amazing album in my opinion, and the more I listen to it, the more I just find songs that I love. And I hope when I listen to this record and hear the warm sound in the record player that I'll have an even newer appreciation for some of the other songs and maybe some of the songs I already like. I'm glad I picked this up today because they're running out of the ones with the red sticker on it. For some reason on Amazon they're more expensive. I'm lucky enough to live near a couple of record stores, so I can actually go to a store and actually buy a vinyl record. Some people don't have that luxury. I'm very fortunate in that way. So one of the few times I'm happy to live near hipsters. But yeah, I absolutely adore this. And this is the special edition. And this comes with actually an extra record. And these are supposed to be blood red vinyl, although this one tends to be clear. This is actually the first time I'm actually looking at the records, by the way. So I guess it was kind of a boxing after all. So this one was a little bit more expensive than the standard one by $10 to get that extra one, but you know, it's the Mountain Goats. If I'm gonna give anybody fucking money, I'm gonna give it to the Mountain Goats. Or Regina Spektor, of course. Even though she's married now, so it kind of takes the lure out of it. But now that they're doing a second run, I guess the records are just regular, ordinary black. This is red. I don't know if the camera's picking up on it. It looks like it is. Vampire red. It's kind of quirky and cool. So those are accumulated pickups. I hope this video was remotely interesting. I'll probably go into more detail on some of this stuff later on. I'll especially do videos of all those games at some point. But that was a quick overview. But yeah, I would definitely like to look more into the art books and stuff like that. So don't feel like, oh, that was it. That was his new thing that he was going to do. Just flash everything in front of the camera for 1 second and that's it. No, I'm just kind of winging it, you know. But yeah, I'll probably cover a lot of that stuff in more detail. I'm super excited about that Goths record. I can't wait to listen to that because I absolutely love listening to the CD. But anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much if you stood by and watched this. I know it's kind of a longish video. So thank you so much. I hope you're all doing well and I hope you're enjoying whatever you're doing. Thank you so much for watching my channel and all that stuff. I really do appreciate it and I'm really being sincere. I don't have a Patreon account or shit like that I'm depending on, so I'm not lying to you. I have no reason to. If I wanted to be a dick, I could just be a dick if I really wanted to because there'd really be no consequence. But I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I hope it was entertaining because if it wasn't, I'm going to only be the only one that's be entertaining watching me look at my own stuff. Wouldn't that be like the most greediest thing you could think of? Like somebody watching a video of them looking at their own stuff? That just seems like such a dick thing to do. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you. Bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.